episode 60. 60. More than 50, 10 more than 50, 20 more than 40. We're at episode 60, and we're here with the man, the myth, the legend, Rob Burda. Don't get on a bike with him. He's a terrifying human. But today we're going to talk automotive transport. Rob's the owner of Paradigm Fleet Services located in Hamilton. If you haven't been there, check him out. He just got me some new swag. That's the first. I'm rocking it. It's comfy as hell. He's got a lot more. So Rob, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And thank you for what you do, buddy. It's awesome.
Oh,
amazing. You're an inspiration.
Thanks, bro. Before we get started, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. The podcast couldn't be here without you guys tuning in every day. My mom is a good listener, but she can't be on every single show. So it's great that everyone's tuning in and listening. If you have the opportunity, like and share the podcast. It's going to be on all the platforms, and getting to know a little bit about Rob today. So, Rob, tell us about Paradigm Fleet and what you're all about.
So Paradigm Fleet Services is kind of a vertically integrated model that we offer business owners like yourself, a solution where they can come to one point of contact to deal with everything that's surrounding their fleet vehicles.
Yeah.
Service, outfitting, graphics, vehicle acquisitions, leasing. We offer like sale leaseback on equipment. So if you have assets that are in your business that you've paid for cash and you need to free up some dough, we can help you with that too. I mean, it's really just it's concierge white glove. That's our goal. That's our purpose. That's what we do.
Unreal.
Yeah, man.
I mean, being able to experience it firsthand has been, awesome. And like a little bit like, what's going on? You're kind of like, what do you mean? Oh, you do that? Oh, you do that too? And it's good.
Man. Yeah, we really truly just try to figure out and understand, ask a lot of questions, right? That's kind of what we've learned, right? Just as business owners ourselves, like we're in the same position. So it's a great way of understanding where you come from. We get asked from really good vendors that we work with. They'll ask us a lot of questions. And then we know that our experience is improved because of that, because we're giving them that information. So they know how to navigate our specific world that we're in. And so we try to do the same thing with you, man.
Yeah. And it's fantastic, and it shows. So we're starting off this concept, Rob. For anybody that knows Rob, he's larger than life. The guy's energy as he walks in this room is contagious. It goes without saying. But what was your first paid job? Let's get into the day ones.
My first paid job. Oh, man. Technically?
Yeah.
It was for about a week.
Okay.
It was Daniel Leather.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, man. Hemming ladies' leather pants.
You were hemming them. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the second person now, because someone else said Daniel Leather, but in sales. So
yeah. So I was in sales, but I was that was part of the job. I remember having to I was like, I don't know, I was probably 18 years old.
Come on.
And hemming 45-year-old ladies' pants, leather pants, right? It was interesting, but very quick transition to a motorcycle shop.
A little different. Well, leathers,
Yeah. So I worked at Burlington Cycle in Burlington on the parts counter.
No way.
Yeah, that was my first real job.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
how'd you get into that?
I just went and applied.
Come on.
Yeah. It was cool. It was awesome, and I just remember I was I rode motocross, right? So I loved motorcycles.
Okay.
So it was I was breaking shit on my bike, excuse my language, but I was breaking stuff on my bike, and figured this would be the best place because I get the parts at cost and continue to break more parts. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit of the love for motorcycles. Anybody, if he asks you to go on a cruise, it's not a cruise, okay? It's dangerous, and he's a lunatic. So please be careful if accepting permission to go on a ride with Rob. Tell us a little bit about how'd you get into motocross? How'd you get a passion for bikes?
I grew up in a farm in North Flamborough, and we had 65 acres, so mini bikes and stuff like that showed up. And then from there, it was the kid down the street, he started building some jumps, and we started building some jumps. And the next thing we knew, we had a full-blown motocross track in the 65 acres. And I remember one summer, my dad coming home and my uncle, and start freaking out. What the hell did you guys do to the field? And I mean, literally, we completely like had equipment show up while they were away. And oh yeah, we built like a full blown motocross track. Yeah, it was crazy. Like 12-foot berms and like step up jumps that we were using the hills for that were 120 feet. Like, it was big. Like, it was serious stuff. Yeah, it was cool.
And what were they using the field for without you?
Well, they at
trying
one
to farm it.
there was points. Yeah, there was points where they were farming it and stuff like that, and then they kind of had gotten away from it just because it was, you know, their lives got busier and they didn't want to do farming anymore. So, yeah, we kind of took over the field, man. It was awesome. Yeah, so like from I'd say probably 13 till I was about 18, 19. That was like my hyper focus.
No way.
Yeah. I loved that. It was good with ADD, man. Like, if you have it, anybody that struggles with it or looks at it and sees it as a gift, being on that bike, man, the adrenaline. I mean, we all know that that's what we thrive for, right? It's like, yeah. So it's like you can't think about anything else. So your mind actually gets to rest. It's the craziest thing in the world, but like, you know, you're pumping through like a set of jumps and like through some berms and hitting, you know, like you're taking some risks, right? But your brain's firing on all cylinders and you're more focused and in the zone and in a flow state than like I've tried now to replicate that in like my day-to-day life and business.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard. Right. So it's like, you know, entrepreneurship is very, very similar, and like you can use like motocross as a bit of a metaphor, right? Because there's like lots of bumps, lots of jumps, lots of gaps you got to make, right? So it's like, it's, you know, making sure that you got the right speed at certain times.
Yeah.
So it's that's how I got into the parts store at the motorcycle shop.
Making a lot of sense in terms of some of the historical conversations we've had.
Yeah, dude.
So did you ever think you'd be an entrepreneur growing up? Did you know what entrepreneurship was?
I don't think I understood what it was. Looking back now, I realize that, yeah, I'm 100% that's what I am. Because I was always ruffling feathers and pushing. It was like, even at the motorcycle shop, I remember Jeremy, the owner's son, pulled me in one day and he's like, dude, you discount too much. I go, what do you mean I discount too much? He goes, well, like when I look at the discounts versus everybody, I go, what are my sales? Like, how much have I sold? He goes, oh. I said, that's why the discounts are higher. Because you guys allowed me to have a certain margin of discount that I could work with on vehicles, on deals that guys who have bought new motorcycles, right? They automatically got that discount. It's just my closing ratio was a lot higher than the other guys, so my discounts look bigger. He was looking at the wrong number. He was looking at the wrong number. He wasn't looking at the revenue. He was looking at the discounts, right? And it's like, okay, we can't look at that. We look at the revenue side and the profit side versus what the other guy's revenue is. And like, I understood that at that age, right?
Really?
So yeah, it was crazy, man. So moved on from there, and I ended up working at a Honda dealership, like a car dealership, and that was my next experience.
In what area?
Upper James, Sterling Honda.
In parts?
No, sales.
Oh, no way.
I was 20 years old. I was at that point. I was the youngest sales guy that they had ever hired. And I remember the interview like it was yesterday. It was absolutely insane. So two guys I look up to dearly are Todd Kay and Louis Iaquinto. John Lecluse, the owner, incredible individual, giving me the opportunity to work in that industry, get my feet wet, get and understand. That's the problem with entrepreneurs. We go in somewhere, we like dismantle everything in our heads to understand how the mechanisms all work, right? And if you have good people around you to guide you through the processes, and I was given that. It was an incredible experience. But the interview that I had there, they made me sell them a styrofoam cup. They pulled me up into a boardroom, and like this guy Peter Hubbard, who's a sales trainer, he's like pulls me aside and he's like, "This is a cup. It holds liquid. It keeps things hot and cold. Sell it to me and close me on it." And I was like, I'm like, what do I do? Like pressure cooker, right? Like, you know, kid, right? And he's smiling. He's got this gold tooth, man. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, so yeah, it was interesting. So, I mean, I did what I was supposed to do, and I got the seal of approval from Peter that, yeah, you know what, the kid knows how to sell. And
come on.
Yeah. So it was cool. Cause how'd
you do it? What do you mean?
I just said, listen, like the thing holds, like, what did I say? Oh my gosh. What did I say? I said, hey sir, like, how are you doing today? right? I started role playing with them. How are you doing today? I'm here from the cup company. I can't remember what I called it at the time. And I said, I got these styrofoam cups. They're absolutely wonderful. I think I even said they're eco-friendly at the time. It was styrofoam cup, right? I don't know. We weren't into the global warming stuff yet, but, so I had, I'm like, they keep liquids hot and they keep liquids cold. I said, if you're buying 1,000, I can give them to you at 10 cents. And if you're buying 10,000, I'll give them you at 5 cents. What would you prefer?
Not even do you want which order size would you like?
Yeah. Just like I didn't, and I had no clue what I was doing. I was just shooting from the hip, right? So,
that is
it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was really, really cool. And, like I said, super grateful for that experience. Like very grateful for that experience.
Yeah.
It molded me and gave me what it was. I think I grew up in a family where, a lot of lack. Like limited mindset of what was absolute, like what was capable. And it was always like, retraction, right? Where when I got to the Honda store, I saw abundance and I saw opportunity and I saw people doing like stuff that like, you sold how many cars last year? Like Louis I. Quinto, I remember speaking with him and it was 360. He sold a car a day. That was his thing, man, car a day. And the amount of money that guy was making when we found out, it was like, wow. You can make that selling cars. I thought car salesmen were like losers.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what we're told when we're in high school, right? Like go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go do something like that. And the most successful people I know, bar none, car salesmen, tradesmen. I don't know what else to tell you, man. I think we're in good company here.
Yeah, I think, talking about like, those early days of going into entrepreneurship. I mean, I tell the story all the time, but my family gave me an intervention because they were worried that I was going to be a loser, with good intention, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't come up from a negative place, but just a concern. They didn't know what an apprenticeship was. They'd never heard of it.
Oh, okay.
They said, go to university and you'll have a house and you'll probably find a wife. That's it. Right? Like they didn't know anything else. And so, that narrative changes. So talking about that journey from Honda, how did Paradigm Fleet Services start?
So we a little bit about my backstory. So 5 years ago, I was at like complete rock bottom, like completely just decimated everything. Like I was on a absolute wrecking crew of my existence for whatever reason. We know what it is. We can get into that if you want to. I'm cool with sharing it. No. But it's, at the end of the day, I'll say this to everybody. When you hit rock bottom, just remember that that's a great opportunity to rebuild a foundation. And if you got good people around you that aren't willing to enable, you can succeed. You're unstoppable. If you can recognize that and get control of it, you're unstoppable. 5 years ago, started Paradigm Fleet Services. It was just literally, looking at what did the industry need. I wanted to innovate something. It's funny because as the transition happened into Paradigm, I had a job opportunity to take over 3 GM stores and be the fleet manager for them. And I remember sitting in a boardroom meeting. And the general manager at the time of the store, I'm kind of giving him a bit of a rundown of the concept of what I want to do. And he's like, you come from where? Because like we had a family business on Woodward Avenue. You come from where? I'm like, I tell him where I came from. He's like, so you come from a cardboard box on Woodward Avenue. And I'm literally going to like write a book, I think one day, hopefully, that like starts with like that phrase, right? Because it's just so funny. It's a slap in the face, but I actually like take so much pride in it today.
Yeah.
Because I am an innovator and I am confident in like the solutions and services that we provide to our customers, that it does streamline things and does alleviate a lot of headaches. Now, we're not perfect and we're still learning.
Of course.
Right. So we make mistakes, but we are 100% humble. Like we just like, we own it. Like we screwed up. we're sorry. We're going to do better next time. But it's learning from those mistakes. But yeah, we sitting in that boardroom, and he's like, you came from a cardboard box in Woodward Avenue. You think you're going to innovate the fleet industry? I said, well, man, I'm going to try. And you just gave me some like fire. You just gave me some gas.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm going to go think about this for 20 minutes and then do something about it.
Yeah. So we started it. Took a mortgage against our house.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, oh, dude, it didn't even seem like I was scared as shit, but like, it's the funniest part about it. And this is what I want to say. Anybody who like legitimately feels like they know more than their boss does, you don't. Like if you, and I don't say that, and I don't say don't try, but you don't, because I thought I knew everything. And I will tell you, if it wasn't for me learning to check my ego at the door, and I work on it every single day. It's not something that I ever like stop doing, but it's every single day I work on checking my ego. Where we are today would not be possible. Like it is literally humble yourself as much as you possibly can. Be a servant leader to the people that you work with. But the big thing is keep growing and keep knowing that you know nothing, because there's so much more to learn, and it's awesome and it's exciting, and it's like, it brings so much more dynamic. And then when you can go and bring that to your team, and then you are saying something to your team, that's something that you've learned, and you automatically see that spark go off in their head, and you're like, wow, they got it. It's like so cool. It's amazing. It's like the most exciting thing. It's a reason why I get up in the morning. Like it's funny because like I say to people all the time, like I could just be one guy in an office and just like flip cars, right? It's super easy, man. The internet and all this stuff, right? I love the people, man. I love them. I love like the good things about them, and I love the bad things about them. Yeah. And I love where I see the gaps that we talked about earlier, that like we can try to figure out how to forge those bridges so that we can get them over into the next side with us. It's awesome.
It's powerful, man. And that's where it really kind of shifts. And so when you're talking about your team and people, how do you create that positive work environment? Is there a secret sauce? Is there a specialty?
I don't know if there's a secret sauce, man. I think it's just being relentless on not giving up on growing. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like recognizing that that every single day is going to be a challenge, because everybody's life outside of work is different, right? So we don't know what's going on in each other's lives. So one thing that I learned at a young age was accept people for who they are and what they're capable of. Excuse me, sorry. At the time when you're dealing with them. Mm-hmm. But always remember that with the right information, the right amount of compassion and empathy, right, to that person, if they're willing to step outside their comfort zone, they're worth working on. And so you don't give up on them. The thing that kills me, and I find that to be like the most difficult part, is when I'm willing to fight for them, but they're not willing to fight for themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's only because like, I've been fortunate enough. I got a lot of good mentors, man. Like I really do. And I'm super thankful about that. They believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself, but I recognized that and I didn't want to let them down. So it's like when we think about, God, for instance, and God gives us grace, there's like, you can't put a value on it.
Of course.
It's free. Right? So it's free and you can't put a value on it. So when someone gives you that grace, don't take it for granted. And just remember that like, that's the motivator to keep going, because there's nothing in this world. It's worth everything right? Because it allows you to reset and allows you to continue to move forward. So, I mean, that's just
very
like
powerful. Yeah. We in talking about those people, I love that conversation about where they are.
Yeah.
Identify where they are in their life and make that connection with that and see where you can take them in their journey, because it is really special, and finding everybody at a different point. I can't really, just imagine looking back at you, 5 years ago. Dude,
it didn't, right? You wouldn't even, you might like me, but like on the surface, public persona, mm-hmm. right? But authentically, I wasn't an authentic person.
Yeah.
I'm 1000% way more comfortable in my skin today.
Yeah.
Way more. I want to be of service to people. That's it.
And where did that come from? Where do you think that?
I think
was there an aha moment or a shift, or is it?
So funny that you say that. I've always been this guy. From a very, 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 very young age, caring, compassionate, empathetic. I was just wearing masks because of like just different things that had happened in my life, right? Mm-hmm. That had like started to layer some different masks on top of like my authentic self. And so, whether that's drugs, alcohol, ego, false confidence because of lack of confidence, right? Of course. So like all these different masks that we tend to put on as human beings, and like really, man, when we can get into our essence of like who we truly are as like our authentic selves, mm-hmm. we're so much more effective, like way more effective, man. Like we are willing to share information because we're not hoarding it, because we're not scared that we're going to lose something, right? Yeah. When we realize that we are all like one, and we can be abundant together, and we can create together and be like way more powerful, we're unstoppable, man. It's just ego gets in the way, and trauma gets in the way, and our family of origin, how we were raised, gets in the way, right? Because like always, like, and this is what I love about what you're doing with the trade school, man. This is like what's so cool, because like I know the type of person that you are, and if there's a bit of a blend of like your personality is going to flow into that for sure. People, they have their family of origin, right? And I always use this analogy, like you're like you're in a frying pan, right? You're a piece of chicken being marinated in, and you take on those flavors of your family, right? Whether that's lack, whether that's like fear, like, being fearful of the government, fearful of succeeding, not succeeding, fearful of not finding the right spouse, fearful of, I was always told if I had tattoos, I'd never succeed in my life. That I was going to be a loser, right? I honestly got these tattoos so I can prove, so that other people can see and give them permission to succeed with them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a kind of a silly sort of like thing.
I think it's beautiful.
But what I see with what you're doing, like with the school, is that like you've got these people, they come from their family of origin. If they're lucky, they get into an elementary school and they have a really good teacher. If they're coming from trauma, and we know that that's like the case, right? Everybody goes through shit. Yeah. But like, you're in elementary school, you got a really good teacher, and that teacher inspires you, right? Gives you an opportunity to see something that's not in your family. Then if you're lucky, you get to high school. And if you're really, really lucky, you get like a student counselor, a counselor, like what do you call those people again?
Yeah, guidance counselor.
Guidance counselor, right? Yeah. A guide, right? So like we have like your spiritual dude, right?
Yeah, of course.
You get it, right? So it's like we have all these things around us, and like you have this guide that guides you in this direction and gives you some information. High school, we're lost, man. Then if we're lucky, we get to go to university. Then we get some ideas, and like we learn about what politics we like, or the type of people we want to hang around, and what kind of culture we like. But if you go from high school and you go into the workforce, you're just thrown into like a workforce with a bunch of people, and the leadership typically doesn't guide. They don't serve, right? And so I think with what you're doing is incredible, and I want to thank you for that, because to me it's so important to have people that are going to come out of an environment where they can drive with purpose, right? And also understand not just like how to do a job, but also how to like live an effective life where they can give back to society, right? Because that's like what we're really trying to accomplish as leaders, is we're trying to build environments where we can build people that can give back to society and continue to grow other people, right? I mean, that's the business we're really in. Let's be honest, man. The money's a byproduct of what we're doing.
My 92-year-old aunt the other day, I was talking to her, and we were discussing, the business in the school. She's 92. She still gives tours of New York City.
Wow.
Yeah, and cool. She still teaches. And she's been a teacher for, I don't know how many years that makes you a teacher for, 70 years.
That's awesome.
And I was talking to her about it, and I was like, yeah, we wouldn't have never done this for the money. And she just stopped me in my tracks. She said, Daniel, she goes, I don't care that I'm in New York. I know you don't do anything for the money. It's the byproduct of what you're doing that creates financial benefit to it. And of course, yes, we're in business to feed our families and live and flourish and be abundant. But it was so nice to hear, and it really grounded my thoughts in the sense of like, I don't need to think like that, or I don't need to worry about what others are thinking, because the important people know exactly why I'm doing things. Yeah. And so it was really cool. When we're going back to what you're doing with, you know, your personal journey and your growth in that, you know, how do you still push yourself to find these, now that you're, you know, emotionally intelligent and aware, right? I call that two very connected pieces.
Yeah.
Because you're aware of your own skin.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that purpose, like when did you become that person? But when were you aware of that person in that journey? So now that you're there, what kind of pushes you to continue to explore?
Because I'm not there.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'm not, right? Like there's so much. Like I can't, it's so hard to describe how much information.
The definition of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. There's so much. And I think what it is that like, it's just a specific type of personality. I think at the end of the day is that like you get to a certain point and you think, okay, I'm going to be happy when I get here. And what I'm realizing now is it's not about happiness. Happiness is like, I can be happy, you know, celebrate, say, right? Like if I'm celebrating, that's the emotion that I want to like experience, right? Mm-hmm. Celebration. Everything else, when it comes to business, I want it to be on an emotional line where I'm not allowing dopamine to make decisions, and I'm not allowing fear or being happy, like overly happy to make decisions. And so I think when you get to that place of like, sort of like I think realization that you can be calm in chaos, right? I mean, Art of War, right? And it's like, it's figuring out how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And as you start to grow that muscle memory, like you're working out and you're doing the reps every time you run into a problem, and you use that problem as a benchmark to realize that you're growing, and you overcome it, you don't want to stop. I can't. I don't know how. I mean, unless it just like ends. But yeah, I don't want to. I want to see how far I can push this thing.
Amazing.
And the reason being is because if I can drive in that direction so hard, and I have the right team with me, right, that align with my vision, mission, and purpose, yeah, then that, and they believe in it just as much as I do, then we can replicate them into those roles and allow them to have abundance too. And it's just going to repeat, right? That's what it is. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, it's been, man, perfectly done. And you know, it's a common theme on this podcast about people and abundance and giving the opportunity to the next generation because it was given to us, right? As much as, you know, it's that conversation that you have with that entrepreneur that you look up to, or someone speaks to you in a podcast or in a book, and it's like, wow, like, thank you for sharing that, right? However that information is passed, thank you. Yeah. Wow. And you know, what's the gift that you can give to the person that did the sharings? Do it. Showcase it, share it with others, continue their journey, right? And that touch point is it's evolved, and it's, you know, it's an infinite amount of energy being passed.
That's it, man. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
So talk about this entrepreneurship. We talk about, you know, family. We talk about business, culture, mindset shifting. As an entrepreneur, how do you manage your time? What's a day in Rob's time zone? What's that look like, dude? Walk us through.
I'm like wearing a hole in the chair in the boardroom because it's like I've got my roles replicated to a point where I get pulled very, very little into the day-to-day. So I'm focused on what's the next thing? How are we evolving, and what are we doing to evolve, and how are we making the environment better for the people that we work with?
Okay.
So that's what I spend my time with. And I really and truly believe, I never used to use a calendar. I used to try to keep it all up here, which would like creates my madness and makes it worse. And I don't know if you've experienced like do the same thing, or if you've gotten disciplined enough to be
like my calendar is to the half an hour, not to the minute, but to the half an hour.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at now, is I'm getting to like the half hour mark where I really almost try not to have any white space in it. Yeah. Because that keeps me.
You allow for drive time though.
Yeah, it keeps me. Yeah, it keeps me for fuel, right?
Yeah.
It keeps me filled up. I mean, John Maxwell's got that like that analogy of like, have you ever heard of like lid leadership? Like where if you're too full in certain things, you're overflowing, and you can't really like do what you need to do to like lead your team properly, right? So if I needed to get disciplined, so I can become a better leader. And that truthfully has only been over the last, I'd say, year and a half, man.
Good for you.
Yeah. Like that's been like the best thing I've ever done. But for someone who like has like the level of ADD that I have, it's tough, man. It's like rubbing sandpaper on my brain.
Yeah.
But I
get over it. Grab you by the shoulder, like, not right now. Yeah. You've got something booked that you said you were going to.
Yeah. So I'm getting much more efficient at that. And I love it. And I do love it because I am finding that I'm starting, like my certain things like anxiety and stuff like that are starting to come down because I know where I need to be and I have to commit to it. But it's building those muscles in your brain, right?
Yeah, the intentional lifestyle.
Yeah,
the intentional life, especially when an understanding for anybody out there that's got the ADD and like, it's a tool. It's a tool to not have the anxiety to pull into what am I going to do now. And for an entrepreneur with ADD or ADHD is what can I be most effective use of my time right now. Yeah. And then questioning yourself 35 times before you make a decision. Yeah. And then mid-decision, you're like, shit. And the scheduling is an incredible tool. Having support is an incredible tool. Asking for help is an incredible tool with doing something you've never done. Yeah. I'll share something from Sandy McKay. I own the world for sharing this with me, but there's a book called The Founder and Force Multiplier, which is how to work well with an executive assistant. Okay. And it's a simple book. It's 120 pages, very big font for guys like me. And and it talks about scheduling your time, enhancing your life, but also, shifting between personal and business and unpacking the schedule that happens on the weekends. And for a lot of people that deal with, alcohol or substance abuse, the concept of like, well, when we don't know what to do, the mind wanders to the easy outlet.
Have you heard of HALT before?
No.
HALT. Hungry. Wait, what is it? Anyways, it's like basically like it's what you're talking about, right? When as your mind gets like a little bit kerfuffled and you don't know what to do, you gravitate towards external things, right? Mm-hmm. To like deal with it. Yeah. And so like for me, learning to sit in that, like I was actually on my way here, I was talking to my wife and I was like, we were talking about, excuse me, we just got back from Arizona and talking about some of our experiences that we had there. And I was like, man, like sitting with the anxiety, like I was having anxiety because like when I go away, it takes me a day or so to like chill out. Yeah. And like just sitting with it is like the most uncomfortable thing I think I can do, but it's the best thing I can do because it's better than like going and reaching for something external to make it go away. Because as I start to learn how to sit with it, it lets me feel that it's like not real. And so it's the 6 inches between my ears that I have to like work on.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Dude, it's like, it's everything. I want every entrepreneur to understand that like you can be so much more effective if you learn to take that stuff and move it out and use it whenever, like celebration or whatever, but in your day to day and using it for when you're dealing with problems, feel the problem, feel it and know it in your gut so that you can start to use discernment when you're making decisions as a leader. Yeah. So that you don't do it over and over again. Because if you just mask it with like a substance or something external, The problem is, more than likely, you're going to artificially push that out with other chemicals and things like that, that when that problem presents itself again, you're just going to engage it.
Totally.
And so when you engage that problem again, I mean, that's literally the definition of insanity. So those external things are creating your own insanity, right? They're making you mental. And so like, I know from personal experience, I could talk about it all day, right? But like, I literally, like, that's the most freeing advice that I can give any entrepreneur. Don't reach for external things when you're dealing with problems. Sit in them, feel them, recognize them, and make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you're right. You're 100% right. I don't even have anything to add.
Sorry, man.
I'd be repeating you if I did. I find myself doing that sometimes. Like, because it's challenging as an entrepreneur to sit in that and not have that support or that guidance. So, at this point in the podcast, we ask these questions. So, you talked about those masks coming on. So I'm really excited to hear the answer to this. But what advice would you give to your younger self going through the journey that you were on now that you're here?
Love yourself, forgive yourself. It's okay. You can do it.
That's amazing. So powerful.
That's it, man. Honestly, it's like you make mistakes in your younger years, or you do things that you look back on and the crippling things are shame, guilt, regret, right? And that will like literally like freeze dry someone in their place and not allow them to like experience their purpose and their drive, what their actual potential is. And so it's okay. It's okay. You fucked up. And there's a great world out there that like wants to see you succeed. There's people that are rooting for you that you don't even know.
Yeah.
And that's like, excuse me, I get super emotional because I have like so many good people in my corner that when I was at my lowest of lows, I didn't recognize them.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't see them.
Yeah.
I didn't see them probably because I didn't want to see them. Because I didn't think I was worth it. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I say, love yourself, forgive yourself. It's okay. Keep going. You got it. I
love that. So powerful. And for people listening, that's, I had PJ McCanty on the podcast last episode, and we were talking about just the combination of like how crazy it is to go through some of the things that we endure as entrepreneurs. And if we knew about them before, we probably wouldn't do it. And, he was bringing up the pandemic in an events-based business, Wow. And his dad said, I wouldn't have done it if I do that. And it's like, that's the beauty of it, right? We don't know what's to come. And, gearing yourself up to be present in that moment of like, I'm in one now. This is that chaos that they were talking about. Let's do it. Let's see what can happen here. Let's see what I can make of this.
And we thrive there.
It's what we yearn for.
Right?
Yeah.
It makes us unique, right?
That's it, man. Well, again, guys, episode 60. Rob, thank you so much for being on the show.
Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and thank you for what you do.
For everybody that's interested in having that white glove experience with Rob and his team, you gotta go down there and see the big guy. You'll know him when you see him. But all their social medias will be on there. Anybody starting a business where they need fleet services, this company takes you from start to finish, makes everything easy. I've experienced it myself. It's incredible, and super, super helpful when you don't know the direction that you need to go in your business with your vehicles. And for everybody tuning in, thank you so much for listening. Again, I was happy if it was just my mom, but you guys are here, so thank you. Episode 60. All the platforms will be up there. All Rob's social cues will be in there. And thanks so much for tuning in.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Beauty, bro.